Right now, this exact second, about 100 billion neutrinos just passed through your eyeball. Not around it, through it. They came from the sun, traveled 93 million miles in 8 minutes, hit Earth, and went straight through the planet like it wasn't even there. You didn't feel a thing. Another 100 billion just went through. And another. Every second. For your entire life. And you never knew. Your body is being bombarded right now by invisible particles moving at nearly the speed of light, cosmic rays smashing into the atmosphere above your head, creating showers of muons that rain down through your skull, through your brain, through every cell, and out through your feet into the ground. Photons from distant galaxies that started their journey when dinosaurs walked the Earth are hitting your skin right now. The quantum vacuum around you is seething with virtual particles popping into existence and vanishing before you could ever detect them. Energy fields you can't see are passing through the space where you're sitting, where you're standing, where you exist. And here's what's going to mess with your head. Oppenheimer knew about this. He understood it. He calculated it. He proved it. And when he really grasped what it meant, when he understood that we're all swimming in an ocean of invisible energy every moment of our lives, it changed how he saw everything, changed how he saw matter, changed how he saw the atom, changed how he saw the difference between something and nothing. Because here's the thing, the universe isn't empty space with some stuff in it. It's a roiling sea of energy with brief disturbances we call particles. You're not in the universe. You're made of it. And right now, without you knowing, without you feeling, invisible energies are streaming through you at the speed of light. Oppenheimer was one of the first physicists to really understand the implications of this. Not just the math, not just the theory, but what it meant for reality itself. And if this kind of stuff makes you realize how little we actually perceive of what's really going on, hit subscribe, because I'm about to show you things that are happening right now that you never imagined. We're going to talk about the invisible storm you're standing in, the cosmic radiation Oppenheimer studied that's hitting you from space, the neutrinos he calculated that pass through everything like ghosts, the quantum fields he helped discover that fill every cubic centimeter of space with more energy than you can comprehend. And by the end of this, you're going to realize that the empty space around you isn't empty at all. It's the most crowded place in the universe. Let me show you what Oppenheimer saw. Here's what they teach you in school. Space is a vacuum. Empty. Nothing there. And atoms are mostly empty space too, right? The nucleus in the center, electrons orbiting around it, and in between there's just nothing. Vacuum. Emptiness. That's the mental model we all carry around. And when you think about the universe that way, it makes sense that most of reality is just absence. Just void. Just the gaps between things that matter. Except here's the problem. That model is so wrong, it's not even in the same ballpark as what's actually happening. Let me show you why. Take the space between you and your screen right now. Looks empty, right? Feels empty. If you wave your hand through it, nothing's there, but measure it. Actually measure what's passing through that supposedly empty space. First, you've got photons, light particles from every source around you, bouncing off surfaces, traveling in straight lines, filling every possible path through space. Trillions of them. Then you've got neutrinos from the sun. About 65 billion neutrinos pass through every square centimeter of Earth every single second. That's not a typo. 65 billion. Per square centimeter. Per second. Your hand is maybe 100 square centimeters. So in the time it takes you to wave your hand through empty space, about 6.5 trillion neutrinos passed through it. And that's just from the sun. You've also got neutrinos from nuclear reactions in the Earth's core, neutrinos from distant supernovae, neutrinos from the Big Bang itself, though those have cooled down to almost nothing by now. Then cosmic rays, high-energy particles, mostly protons, smashing into Earth's atmosphere from deep space. When they hit air molecules, they create cascades of secondary particles, muons, pions, more neutrinos. These shower down through everything, through buildings, through mountains, through you. About 1 muon passes through your hand every second. Again, you never feel it. Your cells are too far apart at the atomic scale for it to matter. The muon passes through the enormous empty spaces between your atoms like a bullet through fog. Then there's electromagnetic radiation you can't see. Radio waves from broadcasts, from lightning, from astronomical sources. Microwaves from the cosmic background radiation. The afterglow of the Big Bang still filling all of space with a temperature of about 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. Infrared from every warm object around you. Ultraviolet that made it through the atmosphere. X-rays from the sun. Gamma rays from nuclear decay. All of this, right now, passing through the space you think is empty. But wait, there's more. And this is where it gets truly weird. Even if you could somehow shield yourself from all of that, if you could block every photon, every neutrino, every cosmic ray, you'd still not have empty space. Because of quantum fields. This is what Oppenheimer helped figure out in the 1930s and 40s. The universe isn't made of particles moving through empty space. It's made of fields. Energy fields that fill all of space, and particles are just excitations in those fields. Think of it like the ocean. The ocean isn't made of waves moving through water. The ocean is water, and waves are just disturbances in that water. Same thing with reality. There's an electron field filling all of space. When that field gets excited in a particular way, we see an electron. There's a photon field, an up quark field, a down quark field, a neutrino field. And here's the kicker. These fields are never actually at zero energy. Even in perfect vacuum, even with no particles present, the fields are fluctuating. Virtual particles pop into existence in matter-antimatter pairs, exist for a tiny fraction of a second, and annihilate back into the field. This happens everywhere, all the time. The quantum vacuum isn't empty. It's seething. And Oppenheimer was one of the first to calculate what this meant. He worked on quantum electrodynamics, the theory of how light and matter interact at the quantum level. He studied these vacuum fluctuations. He realized that empty space has energy. Lots of it. More than you'd think possible. So when someone tells you space is empty, they're wrong. When someone tells you atoms are mostly empty space, they're wrong. What we call emptiness is actually the fullest thing in the universe. Picture this. You're standing outside on a clear night. You look up at the stars. Beautiful, right? Now imagine you could see what's really happening. First, turn on your neutrino vision. Suddenly the sun becomes visible even though it's on the other side of the planet. Because neutrinos don't care about the Earth being in the way. They pass right through. The sun is a blazing sphere of neutrinos, and they're streaming toward you in an invisible flood, 65 billion per second per square centimeter, hitting your face, passing through your skull, through your brain, exiting out the back of your head, and continuing on into space on the other side of Earth. You see other neutrino sources too. Nuclear reactors glowing faintly. The Earth's core pulsing with neutrinos from radioactive decay. Distant supernovae flashing like beacons. Now, turn on your cosmic ray vision. The sky lights up. High-energy protons and atomic nuclei are slamming into the upper atmosphere from every direction. When they hit, they explode into particle showers. Cascades of muons, pions, electrons, positrons, more neutrinos, gamma rays. These showers spread out as they descend, like upside-down umbrellas of subatomic particles. They're hitting you right now. Hundreds every second. Most pass through harmlessly. Occasionally, one will hit a DNA molecule in one of your cells, maybe cause a mutation, maybe trigger cancer decades later, maybe do nothing. Random. You're being irradiated by the universe constantly. Now turn on your electromagnetic vision across all frequencies. The cosmic microwave background appears as a faint glow in every direction, the same temperature everywhere, 2.7 degrees Kelvin, filling the universe. This is light from the Big Bang, stretched out by cosmic expansion from visible light to microwaves over 13.8 billion years. It's older than the sun, older than the Earth, older than the atoms in your body, and it's passing through you right now. Radio waves appear as colored flows, broadcasts from towers, signals from satellites, emissions from Jupiter, pulses from pulsars. Lightning appears as bursts of radio energy. The sun blazes across multiple frequencies. You see Wi-Fi signals, cell phone signals, radar. Infrared appears as heat glow from every warm object, including your own body radiating into the night. Ultraviolet from the sun during the day, mostly blocked by the atmosphere, but some getting through. X-rays from the sun, from distant black holes, from supernova remnants. Gamma rays from nuclear decay, from cosmic ray collisions, from the most energetic events in the universe. The universe isn't dark and empty. It's blazing with invisible light. Now, here's the really crazy part. Turn on your quantum field vision. You see the fields themselves now, not just the particles. The electromagnetic field extends everywhere, a shimmering fabric of potential energy. Where it's excited, you see photons, but even where it's not excited, it's not zero. It's fluctuating. Virtual photons pop in and out of existence. The electron field extends everywhere. Virtual electron-positron pairs appear and disappear. Every field behaves this way. The vacuum is a storm of creation and annihilation happening at scales so small and so fast that we never notice. Oppenheimer worked on the mathematics of this. He studied the infinities that showed up when you tried to calculate the energy of the quantum vacuum. Those infinities were a problem for decades. They suggested that empty space should have infinite energy density, which obviously doesn't match reality. The solution came later with renormalization, but Oppenheimer was there at the beginning, grappling with these infinities, trying to understand what the universe was made of at its most fundamental level. And here's what he realized. Matter isn't fundamental. Energy is. What we call particles are temporary condensations of field energy, and those fields fill everything. There is no such thing as empty space. There never was. The universe is an ocean of energy with waves we call particles, and regions of temporary calm we mistakenly call vacuum. You're not a thing moving through space. You're a pattern of field excitations, a temporary organization of energy, swimming in an infinite sea of more energy. And that sea is moving through you right this second. And this is where Oppenheimer realized something that would change everything. Something that would lead him from abstract theoretical physics to the desert of New Mexico and the most destructive device ever created by humans. He realized that if matter is just organized energy, and if fields contain enormous amounts of energy even in their ground state, and if you could convert matter to energy according to Einstein's famous equation, energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, then the amount of energy locked inside ordinary matter is absolutely insane. Let me give you the numbers. The speed of light is about 186,000 miles per second. Square that, and you get about 35 billion square miles per square second. That's a huge number. It means that even a tiny amount of mass contains a staggering amount of energy. 1 kilogram of matter, if you could convert it completely to energy, would release about 90 trillion joules. That's equivalent to about 21 megatons of TNT. The bomb that destroyed Hiroshima was about 15 kilotons. 1 kilogram of completely converted mass would be 1,400 times more powerful. The Sun converts about 4 million tons of mass into energy every second through fusion. 4 million tons every second. And it's been doing that for about 4.5 billion years. And it'll keep doing it for another 5 billion years, and it's barely made a dent in its total mass because the amount of energy locked in matter is just absurd. Oppenheimer understood this. He did the calculations. He worked on electron-positron pair production, the process where a photon with enough energy can spontaneously create an electron and a positron out of the vacuum. Energy becoming matter. He calculated the conditions under which this happens. He studied the reverse process, annihilation, where an electron and positron collide and convert completely to energy. He saw both transformations, matter to energy, energy to matter. Not really different things at all, just different states of the same fundamental stuff. And this understanding, this knowledge that matter is frozen energy, led directly to the Manhattan Project. Because if you could unlock even a small fraction of the energy inside matter, you could power cities or destroy them. The first atomic bombs worked by fission, splitting heavy nuclei like uranium or plutonium. When a uranium-235 nucleus splits, it doesn't convert all its mass to energy. Only about 0.1% of the mass becomes energy. 99.9% of the mass just turns into smaller atoms, but that 0.1% is enough. The Hiroshima bomb, called Little Boy, used about 64 kilograms of uranium-235. Only about 1 kilogram actually underwent fission, and of that 1 kilogram, only about 0.7 grams actually converted to energy. 0.7 grams. Less than a single piece of paper. And that released energy equivalent to about 15 kilotons of TNT, killing between 90,000 and 146,000 people and destroying 5 square miles of the city. 0.7 grams of matter converted to energy did that. Oppenheimer knew these numbers. He led the team that calculated them, engineered them, tested them. On July 16, 1945, at 5:29 and 45 seconds in the morning, in the New Mexico desert near Alamogordo, the first atomic bomb was detonated. The Trinity test. Oppenheimer watched from a bunker 10 miles away. The explosion released energy equivalent to about 22 kilotons of TNT. The fireball reached a temperature of about 100 million degrees Fahrenheit, about 4 times hotter than the center of the sun. Sand near the blast was vaporized and fused into a green radioactive glass, now called trinitite. The flash was visible from more than 200 miles away. The mushroom cloud rose to a height of about 7.5 miles. And Oppenheimer, watching this, thinking about what he'd just helped create, remembered a line from the Bhagavad Gita, a Hindu scripture he'd studied in Sanskrit. He later said, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Not proud, not triumphant, disturbed, because he'd just proven that humans could access the energy locked inside matter, could pull it out, could weaponize it, could use the fundamental forces of the universe to erase cities from existence, And he knew, in that moment, that this wasn't going away, that humanity had crossed a line, that the invisible energies he'd spent his career studying, the fields and particles and quantum fluctuations that fill the universe, could now be harnessed for destruction on a scale previously unimaginable. And while you're processing that, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I'm always curious where in the world people are who want to understand this stuff. Because here's what haunted Oppenheimer after Trinity. The energy that destroyed those cities came from the same fields, the same quantum processes, the same fundamental forces that are operating inside your body right now. Right this second, the strong nuclear force holding the protons and neutrons together in your atoms is the same force that was released in those bombs. The mass energy equivalence that powered Little Boy and Fat Man is the same equivalence that powers the sun, that powers stars, that powers your own metabolism at the cellular level when your mitochondria convert glucose to ATP. The universe doesn't have special destruction energy and separate creation energy. It's all the same energy, just organized differently, used differently, and that's what got to him, what he couldn't escape. That the mathematics he'd worked on, beautiful and elegant, describing the fundamental nature of reality, could be applied to create suffering on an unprecedented scale. He later said, "The physicists have known sin, and this is a knowledge which they cannot lose." What did he mean? He meant that once you understand the universe at this level, once you see that matter is energy, and energy can be converted and controlled, you can't unknow it. You can't go back to thinking of atoms as solid little balls bouncing around. You know what they really are: temporary prisons of enormous energy. And you know that any prison can be opened. After the war, Oppenheimer opposed the development of the hydrogen bomb, a thermonuclear weapon that works by fusion rather than fission, and can be thousands of times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Japan. He argued against it on moral grounds. The government didn't listen. They developed it anyway. And in 1954, in a humiliating security hearing full of accusations about his past communist associations and his opposition to the hydrogen bomb, Oppenheimer lost his security clearance. He was effectively exiled from the nuclear weapons program he'd led. He spent the rest of his career at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, teaching, thinking, writing. He died in 1967 of throat cancer, likely caused by decades of chain smoking. But before he died, he gave lectures about physics, about the universe, about what he'd learned. And one thing he kept coming back to was this idea that the universe is stranger than we think. That empty space isn't empty. That matter is mostly not matter. That invisible energies are everywhere, always, passing through us, interacting with us, connecting us to the cosmos in ways we barely comprehend. And here's what got to Oppenheimer, what haunted him. You're not made of solid stuff. You're made of energy temporarily organized into a pattern called you. Every atom in your body is a tiny trapped sun, an absurd amount of energy held in balance by forces we barely understand. Your atoms are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. The protons and neutrons are made of quarks held together by gluons. The binding energy, the energy holding those quarks together, accounts for about 99% of your mass. Not the quarks themselves. The energy field binding them. You are literally made of frozen energy. And that energy came from somewhere. The atoms in your body, except for hydrogen, were forged inside stars. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, calcium, iron, all of them were created by nuclear fusion in the cores of stars that exploded as supernova billions of years ago. The explosion scattered those atoms into space. They drifted for millions of years. Eventually, they condensed into a new solar system. The atoms that would become you were part of that cloud. They fell into orbit around a new star, our Sun. They became part of a planet. They cycled through the environment. Some became part of plants. Some became part of animals. Some became part of the food your mother ate while you were in the womb. And eventually, temporarily, they became you. But they're not staying. The atoms in your body right now, most of them won't be there in a year. You're constantly exchanging atoms with your environment, breathing out carbon, breathing in oxygen, sweating out water, drinking more in, shedding skin cells, growing new ones. You're not a fixed object. You're a process, a temporary pattern in the flow of matter and energy through space and time. And all the while, invisible energies are passing through you. Neutrinos from the Sun, created 8 minutes ago in fusion reactions, passing through your body without interacting, continuing on into deep space. Cosmic ray muons, created milliseconds ago when a proton from a distant supernova hit Earth's atmosphere, passing through you on their way to decay into electrons and neutrinos. Photons from distant galaxies, from events that happened millions or billions of years ago, hitting your skin and being absorbed, their energy becoming part of you. The cosmic microwave background, light from the Big Bang stretched and cooled over 13.8 billion years, passing through you right now, slightly warming you by an amount too small to measure. And beneath it all, the quantum vacuum, seething with virtual particles, field fluctuations, zero-point energy, filling every cubic centimeter of space, including the space between your atoms and inside your atoms, and making up the very fabric of what you call reality. Oppenheimer knew this. He calculated the cross-sections for neutrino interactions. He worked out the mathematics of pair production and annihilation. He understood quantum field theory at a level few people did in his time. And he realized that consciousness somehow emerges from this. That you, your thoughts, your feelings, your sense of being a self that persists through time somehow arises from these quantum fields, these invisible energies, these particle interactions happening in the neurons of your brain. About 86 billion neurons in the human brain, each one connected to thousands of others through synapses. Each synapse involving the movement of ions, the release of neurotransmitters, the propagation of electrical signals, all driven by quantum processes, all swimming in this sea of invisible energy. You are the universe becoming aware of itself. The invisible energies that fill all of space, concentrated and organized in such a way that they can look back at themselves and ask what they are. And Oppenheimer, standing in that desert, watching the Trinity fireball expand, seeing the invisible energy made visible, the quantum fields excited to the point where their energy became light, and heat and destruction, understood the terrible paradox. That the same understanding that lets us comprehend our place in the cosmos, that lets us see the beauty and elegance of the laws of physics, that lets us trace our atoms back to the hearts of stars, also lets us destroy. That knowledge is neutral. It doesn't care how you use it. The energy locked inside matter doesn't have morality. It just is. And we get to choose what we do with it. Generate power or generate bombs. Light cities or erase them. And that choice, Oppenheimer realized, is what makes us human. Not our atoms. Not the fields we're made of. The choice. The responsibility. The knowledge that we're powerful enough to change the world, and the question of whether we're wise enough to change it for the better. So next time you stand outside and look up at the night sky, remember what you're really seeing. You're not looking at empty space with a few stars scattered in it. You're looking at the thinnest upper layer of an ocean of energy that fills the entire universe, extending in all directions, through all of space, through all of time, through you right now as you watch this. Neutrinos from the sun are passing through your body at 65 billion per square centimeter per second. Cosmic ray muons are showering down through the atmosphere and through you at about 1 per second per square centimeter. Photons from every electromagnetic source are intersecting your position, some absorbed by your skin, most passing through. The cosmic microwave background radiation from the Big Bang is warming you by an infinitesimal amount. And the quantum vacuum, the seething, fluctuating fields that make up the fabric of reality itself, is right there, filling the spaces between your atoms, between your cells, between the neurons in your brain that are somehow giving rise to the experience of being you. Oppenheimer saw this, not with his eyes, with his mind, through mathematics, through physics, through the elegant equations that describe how the universe actually works beneath the surface of our everyday perceptions. And it changed him. You can see it in photos of him before and after the war. Before, he looks confident, brilliant, maybe a little arrogant. After, he looks haunted, older than his years, the weight of what he'd done, what he'd helped create, visible in his eyes. He never fully regretted the work at Los Alamos. He believed it was necessary to end the war, to stop fascism. But he regretted what it opened up. The arms race, the proliferation of nuclear weapons, the knowledge that humans now had the power to destroy civilization, possibly to make the planet uninhabitable. And he spent the rest of his life trying to advocate for international control of atomic energy, for openness and cooperation in science, for the understanding that the invisible energies we'd learned to manipulate were too powerful to be controlled by any one nation or used without restraint. He failed. The arms race happened anyway. At its peak during the Cold War, the United States and Soviet Union had more than 60,000 nuclear warheads between them, enough to destroy all major cities on Earth many times over, enough to trigger nuclear winter, blocking out the sun with debris and smoke, causing global crop failures and mass starvation. The invisible energy inside matter, locked there since the Big Bang, accessible now, weaponized, pointed at ourselves. We've reduced the stockpile since then. Current estimates put the total number of nuclear warheads worldwide at around 12,500, with about 3,600 actively deployed. Still enough to end civilization, still ready to use, still extracting energy from the same quantum fields that are passing through you right now as you watch this. And Oppenheimer knew we'd end up here. He predicted it. He saw that once the knowledge existed, once humans understood how to split atoms and fuse them and convert mass to energy, there'd be no going back. The genie was out of the bottle. The invisible had been made visible. The energies that fill the universe constantly, that we never see or feel, had been harnessed. And the question wasn't whether we could do it. The question was whether we should. Whether having the power means we should use it. Whether understanding the universe gives us the right to reshape it according to our will. Or whether some knowledge comes with responsibilities we're not ready for. Oppenheimer thought we weren't ready. He was probably right. But here we are anyway, living in a world where the invisible energies of the cosmos are ours to command, where the quantum fields that make up reality can be excited to create or destroy, where every atom in our bodies contains enough energy to power our entire civilization if we could just extract it safely. What would you do if you could see what Oppenheimer saw? If you could perceive the neutrinos, the cosmic rays, the electromagnetic spectrum beyond visible light, the quantum field fluctuations, the virtual particles, all of it happening right now in the supposedly empty space around you? Would it change how you see yourself, your life, your place in the universe? Would you feel more connected to the cosmos or more terrified of it? Would you want to harness that energy or leave it alone? If this video changed how you see reality, smash that like button so I know this stuff matters. And if you want to keep going down this rabbit hole, hit subscribe and the bell, because there's new revelations every week. Comment which Oppenheimer discovery you want me to explore next. Thanks for watching.